Welcome back to Paws, Mongolia podcast. Today's episode is about the future. What if artificial intelligence could help detect suffering before humans even notice it, and even help humanity better understand animal emotions? For centuries, animal suffering has often remained invisible, simply because humans could not respond quickly enough. But now, for the first time in history, technology may finally allow compassion to move at scale. And tonight, we are talking about something bigger than machines. We are talking about the future moral direction of humanity itself, and what kind of civilization humanity is becoming, because artificial intelligence is already transforming the world around us. It is changing medicine, education, transportation, communication, business. But there is one area people rarely discuss deeply enough: animal welfare. And honestly, I think this conversation is going to become incredibly important over the next decade, because around the world, animal welfare systems are overwhelmed, shelters are overcrowded, wildlife populations are declining rapidly, rescue organizations struggle financially, veterinarians experience burnout at extremely high rates, and millions of animals still suffer silently every day. For generations, animal advocates relied almost entirely on human labor and limited resources. But now, something new is beginning. Artificial intelligence may become one of the most powerful tools animal advocates have ever had. And importantly, this is not just a theory anymore. Some of these systems already exist. One reason this topic matters so much is because the scale of animal suffering globally is enormous. According to global conservation data, wildlife populations have declined dramatically over the past several decades due to habitat destruction, climate change, pollution, illegal trafficking, and industrial expansion. At the same time, shelters in many countries continue struggling with overcrowding and lack of funding. And what makes this difficult emotionally is that many people genuinely care about animals, but human systems simply move too slowly. That is where technology changes the equation. Artificial intelligence, fundamentally about pattern recognition and large-scale information processing. Humans are compassionate, but humans are limited. AI systems can analyze huge amount of information far faster than human alone. For example, researchers are developing AI systems capable of detecting pain indicators in livestock through facial analysis and movement pattern. Wildlife conservation organizations use AI-assisted camera systems to identify enlarged species and monitor poaching activity. Some rescue groups now use predictive mapping tools during disasters to locate animals more efficiently after floods or fires. Veterinary medicine is also beginning to integrate machine learning systems that help identify abnormalities earlier through imaging analysis. And this matters because in animal welfare, timing changes outcomes. The faster suffering is identified, the greater the chance of survival. One of the most fascinating aspects of AI involves communication and emotional recognition. Animals communicate constantly. Dogs communicate through body language, vocal tone, posture, and facial expressions. Elephants demonstrate grief behavior. Whales communicate through complex vocal systems. Primates display social bonding and emotional memory, but humans often misunderstand animals because we interpret everything through human-centered assumptions. Artificial intelligence may help identify patterns humans overlook. Researchers are studying animal vocalizations, movement analysis, stress indicators, behavioral changes, and emotional response systems. Now, this does not mean machines are suddenly talking to animals in a science fiction way, but it does mean technology may help humans recognize suffering earlier and more accurately. Imagine shelters receiving automatic alerts when animals show signs of stress before visible deterioration appears. Imagine veterinarians identifying illness earlier through behavioral pattern changes. Imagine wildlife systems recognizing environmental collapse signals before species populations crash that could fundamentally transform preventive care. And philosophically, this raises a profound question. What happens when humanity can no longer ignore animal emotional complexity? Because historically, distance has allowed denial. People ignore suffering more easily when they cannot see it clearly. Technology may reduce that distance, but of course, there is another side to this conversation. Technology itself is not moral. Artificial intelligence reflects the priorities of the people building it, and history repeatedly shows that powerful technologies can either reduce suffering or intensify exploitation. That's why ethics matter enormously. AI could absolutely help improve animal welfare, but it could also be used purely for efficiency and profit. For example, some industries may use advanced systems to maximize productivity involving animals without truly improving welfare conditions. And this is why future conversations about AI cannot belong only to corporations and engineers. They must also involve ethics, animal advocates, philosophers, educators, veterinarians, environmental scientists, and future generations themselves. Because the central question is not how advanced can technology become. The real question is what kind of moral civilization are we becoming? Technology without ethics becomes dangerous, but intelligence guided by compassion can become transformative. I think younger generations may completely redefine humanity's relationship with animals. Many younger people already think differently from previous generations. There are growing awareness around factory farming, wildlife conservation, emotional intelligence, mental health, environmental sustainability, and interconnected systems. Young people today are also growing up naturally alongside artificial intelligence. That combination may create one of the biggest ethical shifts in modern history. Future generations may eventually see severe animal suffering the same way modern society now views many historical injustices as something people once normalized but later recognized as deeply unethical, and technology may accelerate this cultural transformation. Imagine children learning empathy through immersive educational experiences. Imagine AI-assisted rescue networks operating globally. Imagine international wildlife monitoring systems protecting enlarged ecosystems in real time. The future generation may inherit tools previous generation never had, but they will also inherit responsibility because technological progress alone does not guarantee moral progress. Humanity still has to choose compassion. Sometimes conversations about AI became very dark. People fear automation. People fear emotional disconnection. People fear losing humanity. But I think there is another possibility. What if technology actually pushes humanity toward greater empathy? What if intelligent systems reduce repetitive labor and allow more energy for caregiving, rescue work, emotional connection, and ethical progress? What if future generations become emotionally more aware precisely because they grew up with greater visibility into suffering? For centuries, animal advocates worked with limited visibility and slow communication. Today, one rescue video can mobilize international support within hours. That alone would have sounded impossible not very long ago, so we should not underestimate how quickly compassionate systems can evolve. And maybe the future of AI is not only about intelligence. Maybe the future of AI is also about visibility, helping humanity finally see suffering more clearly than before. As humanity moves deeper into the age of artificial intelligence, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The future of animal welfare will not be shaped by technology alone. It will be shaped by human values. Artificial intelligence can process information. It can recognize patterns. It can accelerate systems, but only human beings can choose compassion. And perhaps that's the real challenge of the future, not whether machines becomes more intelligent, but whether humanity becomes more ethical, because ultimately the future of animal welfare is not simply about animals, it is also about who we become as species. Thank you so much for listening today. If this episode resonated with you, please follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and other major platforms. You can also support our mission by sharing this episode with someone interested in ethics, technology, animal welfare, or the future of humanity itself. And wherever you are in the world, thank you for believing that compassion still matters, because the future is not only being built by technology, it is also being built by the values we choose to protect. Thank you so much for listening. Paws Mongolia podcast. Follow this podcast, write a review, and share it with your friends and family. Together, we can grow this podcast and bring more awareness and compassion into the world.